we are seeing so much of evolution. Similarly, in nursing education, the pandemic has brought in new lessons, new ideas, and new changes. In the session, we would like to understand from our panel when what are these new directions when it comes to upskilling of nursing education. And now I would like to introduce our speakers. And first, I would like to introduce and I would like to welcome Melin Ma'am, Chief Nursing Officer at Fortis Malad Hospital. And Ma'am worked in different sectors, different organizations like Christian Medical Colleges, Apollo Hospitals, and Kaveri Hospitals. And Ma'am is a trained BLS and ACLS trainer and trainer for nursing communication at CAHO and trainer for simulation-based basic nursing skill at CAHO. And ma'am is a certified NABH entry-level assessor. And ma'am will be the moderator for today's session. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mercy.
And first panelist, sorry, ma'am. And I welcome first panelist, Ms. Jivita, ma'am, senior nurse educator at Apollo Main Hospital. And ma'am is highly skilled and compassionate healthcare profession with over 8 years of experience. And ma'am is the ISO internal auditor and certified tissue viability nurse manager and certified person in emergency neurological life science and certified person in LOBEL in LSS project. And ma'am worked as a team member for Green and Black Belt project also. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mercy.
Thank you, ma'am. And I welcome second panelist, Ms. Besmat S.S. Morris, ma'am, nurse educator at Apollo Cancer Center. And ma'am is highly skilled and compassionate healthcare profession with over 12 years of experience. And ma'am worked in different organizations like Sri Ramachandra Medical Hospital and ACS College of Nursing and Jenny College of Nursing. And ma'am is a trainer for HIV TB program at CMC Vellore and organized and participated in various international, national and state level conferences and been a part of various audits. And ma'am published scientific papers in PNNMC journal and presented scientific papers and posters in various international and state level conferences. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mercy.
Thank you, ma'am. I welcome third panelist, Ms. Lakshmi, ma'am, nurse educator at Vijaya Hospital. And ma'am is also highly skilled and compassionate healthcare profession with over 17 years of experience. And ma'am worked in different institutions like Madras Medical Mission, Prakati College of Nursing, and Hawthar Sudhir Hospital at Saudi Arabia, and Umelachi College of Nursing. And ma'am is a BLS, ACLS provider and instructor, and organized and conducted many seminars and workshops and conferences. Ma'am is the NABH internal auditor. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mercy.
And thank you, ma'am. And we welcome fourth panelist, Mr. Amarraj, nurse educator at Fortis Malad Hospital, and is a highly passionate, skilled, and compassionate healthcare professional over 8 years of experience. And sir worked in different organizations like Rajan Healthcare Hospital and Chettinad Health City and Apollo Hospital and Clinical Global Health City. And sir organized, conducted many seminars, workshops, and webinars also. And sir is the founder and legal advisor for Graduate Nursing Association of Tamil Nadu. We welcome you, sir.
Yes.
And before handing over, we would request you all use your Q&A buttons on your devices to post any questions for panelists. And now, over to Merlin ma'am to take over and conduct this session. Over to ma'am.
Thank you, Mercy. And at this junction, or at the start, I would like to thank the Polymed team for organizing such a beautiful panel discussion, because I've gone through many webinars, but this training topic was little less, and almost all the nurse educators at their hospitals were struggling initially because nobody had any clue of what they are supposed to do in training. To be frank, almost all the educators have gone to the bedside and they were a part of COVID team, and they forgot the training part at all. So now, because you have started, so we can understand what these iconic hospitals have done from their part, so that it will be an eye opener for the other hospitals also to follow the same. So the objective of this particular panel is to understand how we can upskill the nurses training part so that we can give a better outcome for the patient safety. So to start off with, actually, to be frank, this pandemic was a very new one. Till now we have had many disaster training, mock drills and everything, but this is the first thing. We have never heard, only in histories we have read about pandemics. But when China was initially talking, we thought it's just an history where we are going to hear it in books. But when it came all over the world, it's a nice experience, and it's a lifetime experience where we can talk over and over again throughout our life. And as this year is dedicated for the nurses and midwives, it is a shining spot where the nursing as a profession has come up, and everybody were able to see what nurses are actually doing, and we were appreciated in many forums as well. But then training and everything has come down. There was little chaos at the initial stage of how we are going to handle this whole pandemic. Was a big problem. And with this eminent people in different areas and the nursing leaders were able to overcome this thing. And it's been 5 months people were managing with this particular pandemic. And the basic thing is, this upskilling of nurses should be in a fast track mode, because as you know, there is a mix up of nurses from one area to another. It is for the benefit of the nurses and their families. It is benefit for the organization and the healthcare providers in the hospital, and it's the benefit of the patient as well. So this is my introduction of the topic. So to start off with, being Apollo Hospital is the first and foremost hospital which started receiving COVID patients in Tamil Nadu itself. So I would like to invite Jeevita, senior nurse educator at Apollo Hospital, to talk about how they were able to manage this pandemic situation in the initial stage. So Jeevita, there are 5 questions for you. Since it is a webinar and I cannot ask you questions in between, I will put forth the question initially, so the participants also can actually wait for the answers what the panelists are going to talk. So there are a few questions, Jeevita. First thing I want is how well the nursing department were ready to face the pandemic, and what was the nurses perceive? How did they perceive when we were talking about this new concept of pandemic and taking care of patients with this? What are all the measures did you take to tackle their parents and the loved ones, because they're very far, and how did you manage them? And what are the different training methods did you implement to manage their mental health? So over to you, Jeevita.
Thank you, Ms. Marlene. Definitely, I would love to share the details of our hospital, what we have initially done from our part. To start up with, yeah, just give me a moment to share my slides. First of all, I must say to one and all who are all present here for this webinar and a panel discussion to say for such, and I'm greatly thankful to Polymed team who has brought up this initiative of bringing nurse educators on a common platform and making them speak on how we have faced the challenges, and from training part how we felt. Thank you, Polymed, for that. And I would also like to extend my thanks to our nursing director, Madam Juliet, who has supported me in taking up few points from her as well, and helping me and encouraging me for this panel discussion, and also our senior nursing superintendent, Madam Sonia. And I would like to thank both of them for helping me throughout. And as the first question, I think, is how did we face the COVID in our hospital, and being the first organization to take up COVID patients, as any other institutions or organizations or like any other common man feels about COVID, but how they know about COVID, the same is what we also initially were scared about. Are we equipped enough to take care of COVID patients? Is our hospital is ready to take the COVID patients? But yes, Apollo is known for its pioneering attitude, and we thought, yes, we can take this challenge and we will do the challenge. And initial fear of having the COVID patients being admitted was there, but still later on we have started preparing ourselves, equipping ourselves for the pandemic. And you know, that was those days though pandemic is very rarely heard. I think in late March month, in the month of March only we have heard about corona in India, but whereas it was prevalent in the Western countries even before it could come to India. And most through media, most of them know what corona was, and they might have, we all might have heard stories in Italy. People have just fallen down or they're dead while walking, and all these things has created a very big panic situation about the pandemic. And then at the very moment, if somebody says, yeah, she's having cold and fever, they say it's corona. So that fear we had, and but still we have overcome all these things. And then we thought, yes, we all have to fight and face the war. There is nothing to flight away from this pandemic except to fight against that. And that's how our leadership team and the top management, they have decided it's time for us to take the challenge of corona, and we have to accept the cases. And that's how we have got ready ourselves. We have dedicated COVID unit. We just initially started with a few beds, say around about 10 beds, and then we gradually progressed to many beds, and we have dedicated one whole hospital for COVID. And then from there, gradually we expanded to other units. That's how initially we started with one particular unit, and we dedicated that particular COVID unit. And manpower is second thing, like how can COVID itself, the concept of corona and handling corona itself is very new. Even there were no evidences of how to stop corona except for knowing about PPE. Only PPE will stop the spread. Only spread we know, but we don't know how are we going to treat the patients who are infected with this and with it. And there is no evidence of talk on vaccine as well. So that time we have an issue of how to train the nurses, and how could be the nurses take this challenge up from the nursing perspective. And the same is with all other healthcare departments as well. That is the time where we have done a knowledge and skill gap analysis of those time, the initial stages, what we know about corona. And we have a very good team of infection control here, headed by our infection control doctors. We have to go, we met all the team members across with the help of our nursing director. We met everybody and understood how exactly we can face this pandemic, how the nurses are to be equipped to face the patients if and or we are going to get admitted or if they are suspected. And that's how we made a gap analysis of the knowledge and skill. And then we thought it's just starting initial phases of corona, and though the world knows what is corona, but still there are a few group of nurses who are not completely aware of COVID-19 for many reasons, and maybe they are not so tech savvy to go and sit and browse what is happening in the world. So we just started like any other baby step with starting the training of giving an awareness on COVID-19 initially, and then we made the nurses understand that it's only the PPE which is going to prevent the spread initially, and then follow the treatment modalities, whatever the doctors have adopted. And that's how we have planned a complete module on training the nurses. And we ran like a crash course, because we know already we have nurses who are skilled enough to take care of patients, but only thing is whatever care they are rendering, they should be very extra cautious about the PPE, what they are wearing and how they are handling their PPE. So that's how we included in our training donning and doffing of PPE. And along with that, we also felt there would be a grave need for drills. So we know corona as such is affecting the lungs of a patient, or breathing especially, and most of the patients may need ventilation. And again, intubation is a procedure which needs an extra skill, and there is a lot of exposure to the virus during the procedure, during invasive procedures, like especially intubation is one such thing amongst which we commonly perform. So then we found this lacuna, and then we thought we will have a drill also to the nurses before they could actually handle the patients. And that's how we started. We have conducted few drills to code a few. One is drill on green corridor and drill on ventilator. And initially we started with these two things. The green corridor concept is that if we are going to receive a corona patient or a patient who is either suspected or positive, how do we need to receive? We can't expose each and every person who are in the way where the patient come into the hospital. So that's how the concept of green corridor has come into picture. We initially had our own nurses and doctors. We role played into a suspect patient, and then we have taken this whole green corridor concept, where actually the green corridor means when we have an alarm of a suspected patient or a positive patient is coming to the hospital, we ensure that the entire pathway where they move across the hospital is free from other persons or free from the obstacles, so that their move is free and no others will get affected with the virus, or they may get exposed to the virus. That is the whole concept, and that's how we did drill, and it created confidence amongst the nurses. And also then during the same time, we got help from our L&D corporate team, where we approached from, and then we have started few online courses, because all these trainings and the preparation of unit, setting up the unit, training, everything has to go had went hand in hand. So it's not like we trained and then we have posted them. It's like they posted and they're getting trained parallelly. So we thought this will enhance them, and we also gave them few online courses so they can go through the courses and learn little more extra at their own pace when they are free. And that's how we equipped ourselves and we got ready. Initially, we deployed our nurses who are skilled in ICU areas. And then later on, as and when the cases progressed, we have to bring in the other unit nurses also. Yes, all the nurses are skilled, but still there is a skill gap, which we talk in terms of handling COVID patients, which we were able to cover through this online modules, followed by a competency check. And once the nurses are inside the hospital, inside the COVID unit, we do have an exclusive infection control nurse who mentored them throughout the process and how to handle the cases. We have one dedicated infection control nurse in the COVID units who helped. And also we have an educator who monitors all their practices. And that's how initially we started. And we checked the competencies of those nurses. And I think my second question is, how did the nurses respond to this? Yes, we have more than 90% of nurses who came forward telling that, yes, ma'am, I will do. I think this is my call for duty. And we have a lot of nurses who came forward, and we are very appreciative of them, and they are ready to learn what makes the difference. And they said, yes, ma'am, I'm ready to do this because this is once in a lifetime opportunity, or what, I don't know. Tomorrow, when my when my 4 generations speak about, they should speak that one of my family members has taken care during COVID era. So I have to be talking about. So I need that recognition in my family, first of all. So I'm interested to work. There are many nurses who have come forward, and many nurses who came forward stating that this is my call for service. Definitely I will do, and this is what I have been a nurse. And we got maximum positive responses from the nurses. But still, on the other hand, we do have a very minimal proportion of nurses who really were scared off. They were literally, they were backing off whether we were able to battle this. Do I really need to risk my life and take this? Or may I go back home like everybody else? Pandemic, they declared lockdown, let me go back to home and sit. So there are few nurses, very few nurses who have come up like this when we asked them to take the role of them. And it was like, though we have 90% plus who are willing to take, but still we consider these people, and then we thought we should do something for them, because it's not that they don't want to do, but we understood that they are completely they're not aware of completely what the corona is, because they have heard from their family members or the parents stating that it's a deadly disease, which we heard lot many times in the social media. I think you are going to risk your life, please don't. So these are all certain discouraging things which made them think so that they may or may not be able to do that. And however, we try to address them by having counseling sessions and peer talks, and making the staff feel that they are comfortable in, and they are comfortable and they are in safe hands. Counseling, we have a very minimal proportion of nurses, a handful of nurses whom we can name them. So we had one-to-one session initially. Our nursing director has taken up this, and first they came to the nurse educators telling that, ma'am, I may not be able to do this, please don't recommend me for that, I'm not good. So that's how we initially started counseling them, and thereafter our nursing director also has pitched in, and then that's how all the leadership team, all of us, we consult one-on-one, and we were able to achieve to some extent that nurses is okay after our counseling, but still we thought that is not, that may not be sufficient. They are boosted at the moment, but it may not last long. So we came up with an idea of peer talk. Peer talks, the nurses who are already working in COVID units, who just started working in COVID units, we brought them into a common platform. We called the other nurses who are not working for non-COVID units, concentrating these nurses. And then we made the nurses who are already working in COVID unit to speak about their experiences. How do they feel? It is completely non-biased peer talk, which we requested them to give. And that's how we also came to know for the first time that how the nurses who are already working for COVID patients felt that they're so safe than being outside. Because inside the ward, they said, like, they shared their views. We are completely with PPE, and then we feel that we are all in safe hands, whereas when we are out, we don't know from where we may contract the disease. So that's how the peer, and during one of the peer talks only, we came to know, one of the nurse, she shared, like, I thought, if my parents or my family members become sick, and if I back off taking care of them, if I'm not going to take care of the patients now, who will take care of my parents when they become sick? Some other nurse somewhere in my native has to go and take care of them. So only I came to this profession, and I thought I will take care of COVID patients. So that is how the nurses explain what made them to work for COVID unit, and also they spoken that we are taking good care in COVID units. We have specific hostels, all the food, everything we have taken care. And that's how we got the peer people motivating the others. And that's the point where the nurses who really want to go back have comforts, thinking that, yes, we are, I think when my friend says it might be true, because she's the one who is actually suffering with that. Yeah, she's telling good, and definitely I can be able to do. And there how we had gradually all the nurses who moved into positive, and then they came into COVID unit, and that's how we made whole show of dealing the situation. And they felt that they are in safe hands. And these are few pictures where we had motivational talks initially. We have to talk for them and encourage the nurses that they have to come, and it's our nursing director, Juliet Mann, who is addressing the gathering, and we are also happen to be there coordinating the entire session. And as I said, our peer talks. We have few measures of nurses who are giving their this is one of our nurses who took care of the first COVID patient in our hospital. And she said how emotionally she attached with the patient. And she also said that the patient, he is not able to see his family members. No one is allowed to visit. How emotionally he shattered down, and how he got emotionally bonded with the nurse, and he all the time praises, thank you so much for being here. And initially the patient is on NIV, not of oxygen support, and later on he has to get intubated, and that time she expressed herself stating that I felt very sorrow for him, whether he will come out or not. And there was a break for her when she was giving all this talk, that she don't know that he has come out. And that's how emotionally she said, like, though we think corona on one aspect, but the other aspect, they're all the patients whom we need to take care. And that's how she started her motivation talk, and we had almost 3-4 people who spoke, and other nurses have got boosted up. And it's like a peer talk followed by rededication towards our profession. And followed the talk, everybody said that yes, they felt that it's their call, and they have pledged themselves and they pray for the patients. And that's how we rededicated ourselves towards the profession once again. And my last question, I think, so how did we handle mental health? Yes, handling, we are taking care, taking good care of the staff who are taking care, provided them with adequate PPE. We have provided them the best hostel facility. We have provided the nurses very good food. We have provided them a lot many things which is very special for them. And there is a separate transport for these nurses so they can go and come in their convenient time. But yet, there is something which is bothering them. There is something which we find is not satisfied in their faces when we talk with them or when we interact with them. That is their role reversal, the thought of role reversal. Today I'm taking care of a patient. If I get contracted with the disease, tomorrow I'll be a patient. Who is going to take care of me? So that's what mentally the nurses started to get depressed, and they got this stigma and fear of discrimination, which was prevalent in some proportion of nurses. And then we thought, it was very early in the second week of April, I remember, first or second week of April, it was very early that we recognized that there is something that we could do for the mental, we can do for the mental health of the nurses who are working for that. And we all the time feel that this is something which is under recognized and unaddressed area. And then we came up with a thought of having stress management sessions. And we have Dr. Sultana, who is a psychologist, clinical psychologist for more than 30 years in her field. And we planned 4 sessions or consecutively, weekly 1 session for 4 weeks. And we covered all the COVID nurses who are working for the COVID patients. And then we could find the difference. We have given them a survey initially before start of this session, how they feel. And after 4-week session, we gave them another survey. And that's how we came to know through that survey that they are better by implementing the strategies, and they found it good. And second is, yes, mental health we are talking, but a sound mind stays in a sound body. So they also need a good health. And corona, the prevalent talk on those days is, if you have good immunity, you will not get corona. So that's how we thought, okay, immune boosting exercises may help. And that's how we have to come across Tai Chi exercises. I think I need to thank Juliet ma'am for bringing these 2 beautiful things for the nurses. It's her thought of having the stress management and Tai Chi for the nurses, and she made it very well. And we had a Tai Chi master, we brought him, who has more than 20 years of experience in Tai Chi method of exercises which he follows. And that's how we brought this to boost the immunity of the nurses, and nurses were so happy. I'll share the images of these sessions in my upcoming slides, a few glimpses for you. And one more concept is social isolation. Though the nurses are grouped together, who are working together for COVID unit, but still they feel themselves socially isolated, and they feel that they don't have connect with other groups. So we started WhatsApp group where we have right from their in charge to the nursing director, all of them were part of this WhatsApp group. And every day they just converse in the WhatsApp group like their own friends, and including all our leadership team and the nurse educators, everybody. We were in the group, and we check whether they are having food at right time. We chat with them, we chat like friends. What are you doing? Why don't you watch this movie on Prime, or why don't you watch that? This is apart from duty hours. We connect to them through WhatsApp group, and we engage them into that so that they feel that they felt also, which they shared later, that we found, ma'am, there is somebody for us to take care of. Initially, we were scared that we might be kept in isolation, or we may not to meet another people, but it never happened. You all took very great care of us, and thanks. They thanked all the leadership team for being into this WhatsApp group and making note whether they are having their food or not, which is basically they do that. So all these questions which we were conversing with them through this social connecting. And also we have a hostel consultant and a senior nursing superintendent who visit the hostels where the nurses are kept, and they go there personally, telling them that you are not isolated, we are all together, and corona is something which we have to face together. It's not you separately who have to face it. And that's how their frequent visits to the hostel also made them feel mentally sound and stable. So these are the few things which initially we have taken for our nurses, not only their physical health, but also dealing their mental health, keeping that in mind to make them sound individuals.
Jivita, along with this,
And
could
this
you
is,
please explain to me, like, how did you manage their parents and their loved ones? Because they were panicking and they were staying very far. So, did you had any conversation with them that we will be taking care of your kids, no need to worry? And did you had any other video conferencing with them?
yes, ma'am, thanks for reminding that. I have to quote, we have few parents who called their nurses and who called their children and told, you please come back. And nurses, I said, the nurses, few nurses were scared, they want to go back. And when we asked what is the reason, they said, my parents are calling me back, I want to go. So I want to go, I want to leave right now. Or when we say, no, you can't leave because of the situation and lockdown, they say some deaths, some marriage, some lame excuses they started to give. And that's where when we have to happen to call the parents to check whether it is true or not. And then the parents said, no, I'm scared about my children, about my child. So I could quote one such instance, ma'am, one parent who called and said, no, please relieve my child, you are not relieving her, please send her somehow, we will send a vehicle, we are from Tiruvannamala, we will send a vehicle, she will come, we have arranged everything, you need not bother about her, please send. And that's the time we spoke with the parents, stating that, telling them again, this is the safest place for your child, and she has all the PPE which she can wear, and she has been taken good care of us. And but still parents are not satisfied. But we have told them from our part what best we can take care of them, and gave them some time. If you really don't want your child to work here, maybe you can take her, and please take some time and give us a call the following day. And the
Okay,
following day,
Jivita.
yes, ma'am. Just to wind up this, the following day we had a call from the father, stating that, no, my daughter called me yesterday evening, and she said, and the same day is what the peer talk has happened in the afternoon. She said, no, I'm not going to take my child back. And the nurse herself told to him, it seems, no, we know, I know this is a situation of, Appa, if you are getting sick, somebody like me only have to take care, no, so give me this opportunity, so I will take. I know initially I only scared you, but I know I'm ready to take. So that's how we were able to achieve in that aspect. And I think I'll just share few slides where we have done our stress management classes, or we covered all the COVID nurses, and this is our Tai Chi exercises. And also our training through Teams Meet. We have done this through Teams Meet, where the nurses were able to connect and do. And initially, it's not a single person's job that we keep everything up. It's a teamwork, and our sincere, my sincere this war, and who had led their hand into this. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Jivita. That was very crisp, and you were able to tell us how well you were able to manage and train these nurses. And the peer talk was the best, I guess, because when people explain what they have encountered, it gave a beautiful experience for others to take over the patients as well. And your mock drills, even though it's a new concept of pandemic, you were able to do that also. So, and the Tai Chi, hope we also get a chance to learn about it. Maybe today we'll all browse in the net and we'll able to boost our immune system as well. So thank you, Jeevita. And this infection control mentorship was really beautiful. So hope this will be a new concept for other hospitals to take care, and they will be able to do it. So thank you, Jeevita, for your time, and with all those beautiful images which you shared with us. So next, I would like to request Ms. Shirley. Ms. Shirley, nurse educator at Apollo Hospital Cancer Institute. Since it's a cancer institute and we face lots of vulnerable patients there, so Ms. Basement Shirley is here to tell about the challenges and responses while training the nurses among the pandemic dealing with cancer patients. So Ms. Basement will be talking on what are the challenges she faced while managing this vulnerable group, because then there should be a separate training session for them, because already the nurses are really stressed up while taking care of cancer patients and everything. And on top of it, one more COVID scenario makes them even more stressed up. So how well she was able to manage, and what was the challenges she was facing during the training period, and how did you manage the burnout syndrome of these nurses, and what are the various alternative methods have you done to take care of these nurses' training practices? Over to you, Ms. Basement.
Thank you, ma'am. So good afternoon, everyone. I take this opportunity to thank the Polymed team.
Basement, just a second. I request the participants to please post your questions to any of the panelists, so we can ask questions at the end of any session, because everybody are from different corporate sectors with different style of treating patients and different set of nurses. So there will be some questions for the participants. So please put your questions in your chat box so that we can ask to separate panelists at the end of the session. Over to you, Basement.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, I would like to thank the Polymed team for giving me this opportunity to come on the board. At the same time, my sincere thanks to my nursing head, Ms. Lydia, for giving me this opportunity and motivating me throughout. So moving on to my topic, I just share my slides. I'm sorry. I work as a nurse educator in Apollo Cancer Center, and we take care of patients who are diagnosed with cancer. So Corona has not left patients also. Initially we did not receive much cases diagnosed with cancer, but later our own patients turned out to be having the symptoms of Corona. So we had to take our patients because we cannot send them elsewhere because they are a vulnerable group. The first main thing, they are our patients. So we wanted to take care of them, and it was the biggest task to train our nurses. So when it comes to the term training, so this was the situation of a nurse. You can see COVID at one side, the demands of training on the other side. The demands on the nurses really squeezed them a lot. So because of that, they faced a lot of problems, as well as a trainer, I had a major concern. So this was my major concern. My staffs were not interested in attending classes at all. So we were working out to see what were the reasons why these nurses are not interested to attend classes or even go through certain contents that is given to them also. So I was able to classify the reasons into two categories, like nurses working in COVID area and nurses working in non-COVID areas. So nurses working in COVID areas, wearing the PPE was the biggest challenge for them. the whole shift, for example, 8-hour shift, they had to wear the PPE completely. There's no way to, take a break in between. They are just waiting for the end of the shift to remove their PPE and take a rest. So they'll be exhausted at the end of the shift. And there's no point of asking them attend a class or just listen to what I'm talking to. There is no point of asking them to do anything because they'll be completely drained out. Whereas in non-COVID areas, nurses were taking 12-hour shifts because our nursing management or the leadership team, they decided like to reduce the exposure. They will be working for 12 hours a day for continuously for 3 shifts. And finally, the next 3 days, they'll be on off. So the number of days they get exposed will be reduced. At the same time, they also get time for rest to get their energy regenerated so that they can work for the next 3 days. So this was the thing. So 12-hour shift, they were working and they were all concentrating in their own works. So continuously they'll be engaged in works, they'll be pulled up, they cannot be pulled up for training for any demands. Even if you want to gather them into small groups and take some sessions for them, that was a difficult task because that is only then we would have gathered the group, immediately we'll get a call bell or some patient comes in for an admission. Or it might be a due care for some patient and they'll say, ma'am, we want to go and give this to the patient. We want to do this for that patient. The patient is calling. We have connected an IV fluid. We need to go, we need to check. So something or the other, they keep on moving around, but we will not be able to gather them at all. And when we looked into the self-care, they even did not have time to go and attend the nature's call. Even to sip a little of water, to take a lunch, they will think over, oh, if I have that time, I can do something for the patient. So this was their thing. And where is the question for training? So this was my experience, and we experienced this kind of situation during COVID time. Our regular trainings will be there. At the same time, we need to train the staff for COVID, fight against COVID also. So we thought that these children need to be supported mentally because they were experiencing a lot of mental stress and burnouts. So the first thing that we did for them was counseling. So we had this wonderful concept called a People Connect program. We had this already running in our system. This was rolled out from the center, that is Apollo Hospitals, Delhi. Captain Usha Banerjee has ruled out this concept. So People Connect program is the nursing leaders, they will have around 10 people, 10 staffs under them. They will be forming a WhatsApp group to identify what is their problem, how we can come out of those problems. They can talk nicely to them. They will, so that they will have a one-to-one relationship and they'll be able to tell their problems and we'll be able to sort it out. So this was a very effective tool in tackling the depression as well as the burnouts of the children. So counseling was done through this PCP, as well as our nursing head and educators, as well as the nursing supervisors and the leaders, the charge nurses in the wards. We will also individually go and meet the nurses, ask them what are their problems. So each of them will come out with different things. So we will try to sort it out then and there as much as possible. Next thing was the stress buster that we gave them. We conducted yoga sessions for them. And Tai Chi, as Jeevita was talking about, we are very thankful for Juliet ma'am and the Apollo Hospitals team for organizing this. Even we had a chance to, it was a webinar like, so we had a chance to participate in it. And even participating in it was a big challenge for us because, you know, when a person stands in front and he shows and demonstrates things, that is very, very appreciating, and it's easy for us to do. But finally, our technical problem was there. Then one of our team member had to come and do the actions that he is doing. So it was, one way it was fun, and one way it was like, you know, engaging them to do some exercises, motivate them to do practice some exercises at home, that so that they can boost their energy and as well as their immunity. Thirdly was we shortened the duty hours, especially for nurses who work in COVID areas. So instead of 8-hour shift, we gave them 6 hours of shift, so that in the beginning of the shift itself, they will be able to eat, drink something, so that go for the nature call. Everything is done before the shift, because the next 6 hours, it's not possible for them to leave the patient and move out. So in between the shifts, we gave them refreshments, that we call it as a power break. So we gave them refreshments in between, so that in that 6 hours, at least some time, maybe or 10 minutes, they get time to go and refresh themselves and come back. So this was helping them to come out of their mental as well as physical stress. Next, we had something called, we pampered our nurses. So lockdown, they cannot go anywhere. Apollo means the look of the nurse is very important. So that is the brand for us. So we started pampering our nurses, like we brought beauticians into the system, into the hospital. And because when they go out, we don't know where they are going. Finally, there's no place outside. But still, we brought them inside, and they came and trimmed their hair, did eyebrows, did all sorts of things for them, pampered them. So the nurses were very happy about that. So that was one kind of a stress break for them. Next one, we started honoring our nurses, especially we had this Nurses Day coming in between. So what we did was we captured every moment the nurse would do. Every step she takes, like taking a medicine to the patient, talking to the patient. We clipped all those small pictures and we put it as a big video. So, and we released it on that day, telling that, see, this is dedicated purely for the nurses of Apollo Cancer Center, and we honored them, telling that these are the good works that you do, and they were very happy about it. Our nurses felt very energetic, and they were more motivated to do more things. They were like, they gave a feedback that we were thinking that nobody looks into what we are doing, but finally, secretly, everything is being watched, and we are being rewarded for it also. So we're very happy about it. And not leaving the house activities. We had house activities conducted, like quiz programs and various engagement activities, games, fun games, engaging them in some other activity, following some social distance. So all these activities help them to come out of their stress. Apart from that, we also went for visits to hostels. So we went to the hostel, we met the hostel warden, and when we talk in the hospital, it is different. When we talk with the nurses in the hospital, they don't share much. But when we go to the hostel and keep talking, when we talk to them, they give a lot of things, their concerns, what they feel is good, what is not good, what they feel satisfied, what is not satisfied. So we are able to identify their needs, and we are able to manage according to their needs, meet their needs according to their demands. So these were some of the things that we could do for them. Apart from that, in the screening areas and in the substations, in the wards also, we created substations. Substations in the sense, apart from the nursing nurses station, we had substations called, we keep small tables for 7 or 8 beds, and then we give a chair for them, so that the nurse looking after that patient uses that chair and the table for her to document, sit, relax, and document. Do all her documentation, table works there. So they don't have to get crowded in the station. At the same time, they are given their own individual work areas to work, as well as to take rest. So that gives them a physical relaxation also. In the screening areas, if you see, I spoke to you about the screening area also. So screening areas, it is outside the hospital. So it was usually not in an AC environment. So girls were very frustrated, like saying, see, this is a summer season and we are sweating a lot. We are wearing this PPE. We're not able to stand the whole day. We need to stand and assist the patients, even though it is just checking a temperature, but it meant a lot for them. But so in related to this, we spoke to our management, and management was so kind enough that they provided coolers for the nurses there, and that was very beneficial for them. They were really like, it was like heaven on earth for them. So these are the things that we could do for them to bring down their stress, physical as well as mental, as well as to bring down their burnouts. So in terms of
Just a second. So with all these things, what was the timing for the training you have chosen, and how was it? Can you please explain how was it to give that particular training for them? For example, wearing a PPE completely is a new concept for them, and wearing it for 6 hours, it's another complicated thing. So did you follow anything called buddy system to tell them whether they're wearing a proper PPE or not? Any other concept, Vaishnav?
Yes, ma'am. Related to training, I'm just going to talk about training now. We had bedside individualized training for the nurses. That is, we were not able to concentrate as a group. So we have assigned a nurse educator, particularly for COVID area. So she will be on the duty from 7 to evening 3:30 p.m. So throughout, she will be teaching them about the infection control practices. At the same time, she'll be monitoring the practices that the children are doing, and also updating them on the Red Book protocols. We have something called as Red Book. Okay, this is a book that was given from the center with all the COVID guidelines as per the ICMR protocols. So based on this, we train our nurses. But this Red Book keeps on updated, goes on various stages of updation, and it has reached to around 11th edition. So training as such, we have individual nurse educator who's been posted in the COVID area to monitor all these things. They will be concentrating on infection control practices, the sequence of donning and doffing, and updating on all the protocols related to COVID. Did they answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
And then beyond this individualized training, that was also a difficult task for us because we cannot, we have 300 plus nurses in our hospital, and individualized bedside training was a challenge for us. So we slowly moved on to the online training. We started with Zoom classes, alternative days, and slowly moved on to Microsoft Teams. So this was another challenge, like we had to download the app on everybody's mobile. So that was a big issue for us. So we started concentrating on the leadership team. So we asked the nursing officers, the charge nurses, and the team leads to download the app. But again, it was a problem. So we had to go individually, get the app downloaded on them, test it on them if it is working or not. So that was a very big thing, and it took really a couple of weeks for us to settle down with online training classes. And as we went on, we fixed up the time for 30 to 45 minutes. 2 to 3 nurses would join from each area because all the nurses cannot participate. Suppose if there are 5 nurses on the floor, 3 will be on the bedside and 2 will be in the training. Whereas in COVID areas, we had a fixed time between 2:30 to 3:30. So the morning shift will complete their complete their shift, okay, and they will go in for the changing of PPE. The evening shift will come a little ahead of their time, and they will come and attend the class and then take over. And that is how it goes. So the evening shift, the second shift who comes for the COVID area duty will attend the class. The morning shift will not attend. So that is how we balanced the nurses to get trained. And the nurses who are free at home and who were interested to participated in the classes. And slowly our strength also increased. Initially, it was a big issue because we had very few participants. They had to balance the ward works, as well as training was a big difficulty. But later, when it has to be like, no, you have to go with this, it started working on. And finally, we now recently had consultants also join our classes, and they have taken a few classes for our nurses. So that time we had, during those times, we had majority of participants participating in the classes. So we gained the participation. At the same time, we also had campaigns we rolled out from the center from Delhi. So that also has to go hand in hand with the training related to COVID. So everything, what we did is we had everything on website, and most of the things on alternative days we had it online. And all the assessments that we got it paperless. Assessment in the sense pre-test and post-test that we have to conduct in between for the classes, for the sessions, everything we got it into online. And all our nurses would start using their mobiles to answer the questions at their free time. So it did not matter much for us. So this is how we went on with the training on online. And
Smith, one question. Could you please explain more about this Red Books? Is it an online module or it is a book manual where you have given to each nurses? If so, then how were you able to update that Red Book?
Red Book is the one that comes from, because it's a Pan Apollo one. It is like a guide for all the hospitals under Apollo, Apollo hospitals to follow this. So we will get it, the nursing heads will receive this from the corporate, the main team. And these, as the protocols in the ICMR or infection protocols changes as per the government rules, that will be updated in the Red Book, and that updated version will be sent to us. So whatever is updated, we will be educating that particular part to the nurses. So far we have got around 11 versions. So you can see from March till the end of August, we have got 11 editions. So as and when the rules as per the government keeps changing, and as per our infection control protocols, Pan Apollo, according to that, everything will be updated in the Red Book and sent to us, and we will be educating. So we, in the sense, the nursing team has not been involved in updating. It has been updated and sent to us. So we will be training them on the updations.
So to be in a simple version, it's like a small SOP which is made for taking care of COVID, and it is circulated intranet and among yourselves so that it is benefited for any person who is taking care of COVID.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. You can carry on.
Yes. And the next thing is we wanted all our nurses to be well equipped with ventilators, because most of our patients end up going in for ventilator care. So our ICU nurses only were equipped to take care of patients with ventilator. So this a ventilator training course that was brought about with it is a certified course with Medversity. It has given us 3 modules of ventilator training. Along with that, we have also got modules for training on COVID. So this is a certification course. So once we started circulating this, the nurses were even eager because it is a Medversity linked one, and it is a after completing each module, there is a certificate being provided. So they were very happy about it. So we just didn't want to stop with the knowledge, the gaining of knowledge. So we wanted to incorporate skill also in them. So our nursing head, that's her initiative. She started to put people on rotations. So not only the ICU nurses, from other areas, nurses will be deputed from other areas into the CCU for a few days, and they will be trained on taking care of patients with ventilator. Before they go in for hands-on training, they will be trained by doctors on the basic settings that they have to be done, that they have to do on the ventilator before putting the patient on the ventilator. So all the basic things, basic settings will be educated to them, and finally they will be put in the CCU for hands-on training. So after they finish their training, again they will be a competency testing will be done, and they will be sent back to their wards. So whenever there is a need, like when there is an inflow of patients, more inflow of patients, and we need a lot of nurses to take care of patients on ventilator, we will be using these nurses to help us out to take care of the patients. So at one level, if you see, we are taking care of the patients, our manpower is adjusted. At the same time, the nurses also gain knowledge as well as their skill to practice. So anyway, even if they go out of Apollo, they can go and take care of any kind of patients outside. They can work in intensive care unit as well as outside. So this gave them an extra, what to say, a learning and an experience during this COVID period. So this was another extra thing that we could do for our nurses. And I could say like 70% of our nurses have completed the certification course. And on this rotation basis, we have just started. So around three to four rotations of nurses have been trained. So this is about the ventilator trainings and the hands-on training for staffs that we have given on mechanical ventilation. And lastly, we encouraged our nurses to participate in webinars that were conducted on various topics by different speakers. What I could sum up is, nothing is impossible. Initially, before this COVID would come, we thought everything we have to do only in the classroom. We cannot do anything at the bedside because everybody will be in their own work. They have to finish their work. They have to take care of the patient. They have to go for this, go for that, go for the doctor's rounds. They have to send in samples for investigations. So all these things only we were thinking. We thought training at bedside would not work at all. But COVID has taught that nothing is impossible. We could bring completely, now we have completely shut down the classroom trainings and we have gone everything on website, online, and mostly everything is done one-to-one training in small groups. And I could say thanks to COVID that it has opened our minds to a change.
Thank you, Basement. It was a very nice presentation. And the concept of Red Book, I think most of the hospital has implemented this Red Book with a different version or a different name. It's a standard SOP which was given to all the groups so that they can follow it. And honoring the nurses, it's a very nice thing. I think almost all the hospitals have taken it because it's a time for their increment and promotion. And because of this COVID situation, everything was held back. So nurses were feeling a little worried about it, but honoring them and giving a small appreciation was very beautiful for them. And shift changes, of course, everybody were confused of how to change their shift timing, how to give training for them and all these concepts, and you were able to manage this. I hope it was a very useful presentation to other hospitals who is watching this webinar, and it will be a nice guidelines. So any questions, if the participants are having, please post that in the chat box so that we will be able to answer it. So the next session, I would like to invite Ms. Lakshmi, nurse educator, Vijaya Hospital, to talk about how are you able to manage the balance between the COVID and non-COVID areas, because there is a mix-up of team which is going here and there, and training these group for COVID scenario will be different and non-COVID area scenario will be different. So Ms. Lakshmi, could you please explain how you were able to do it? And there are a few questions which you can answer for it.
Yes.
How did you manage the role transformation? Because nurses would like to stick on to the same ward where they have gone till they leave that particular hospital. So how were we able to manage the role transformation? And how did you identify and train the nurses to manage the new challenging environment? Because from ward setup, if they're going to the critical care area, they'll be a little frustrated and it's a new scenario for them. So how were you able to manage this? And how did you analyze their training need analysis? Because it's a large group of people and we are not able to have one-to-one communication. It's all through technology we were able to communicate them. So how you were able to connect and you were able to identify their training need, and what are the different strategies have you used to build a good, beautiful team? And at last, how were you able to sustain throughout by balancing these two COVID and non-COVID areas? Over to you, Ms. Lakshmi.
Hello, Madeline. Good evening. Good evening to all. Thank you. Yeah. Just a minute.
And I request the speakers to please stick on to the timing because there should not be a lag of timing. So please stick on to the timing.
Sure, Madeline.
Thank you.
Mercy, thank you, Polymed Company. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak regarding the upskilling of nurses. Thank you for our CEO Madam for supporting us in all aspects. So my topic is on 5 objectives, like as Merlin has said. like role transformation, challenging environment, training need analysis, team building, measures to ensure the safety of the nurses. I hope the role transformation is a very important thing which happens in the COVID-19 period, this pandemic, as because of the lack of or limited number of manpower, like we have to take certain staffs from the other specialty area to make them to work in a specialty which they have to, right, as respiratory care and ICU, and non-critical staffs who worked at the ward setup. We've been trained to work in an ICU with the critical care staffs after providing an hands-on training in a short duration. So that this was a challenging situation for the nurse educators and the trainers to make them to know about the ICU setup, the case base, and the hands-on training related to the ventilator and non-invasive management of a patient. Unit to unit transformation. So we have two units, Vijay Health Center and Vijay Hospital. So we have a specialty in a different units. So the staffs also from one unit to another unit transformation is also very challenging for us. Like during a COVID training, it was very challenging for the trainers to hands-on training, train the trainers. So we thought like the after we train also, like we need the skilled person who has been working there for so long, and they have to be train the trainers. A group scenario has been made, like scenario based training has been given, and the deployment along with an ICU staffs to support them and work as a team. So because the non-critical staff who doesn't know about the thing, we have been trained for certain period, so they should not be compromised in the nursing care aspect of the patient. So we thought like they'll be seeing a stable case, and when they are seeing in other cases, they'll be supporting, we are deploying, and senior nurses who worked in ICU, skilled based training has been given in the ward setup itself. Experienced nurses looking after a sicker patients in order to avoid we have to give a proper care to the skill base. This is regarding to the COVID training. Non-COVID training of role transformation is also a big challenge. What we did, because the OT sometime it has been closed, like we have to use that staff in working in a ward setup, because it is a new environment to work in. A OT staff has to work in a ward. So we thought like with the in charges who has been present in another ward has to orient them prior with the equipments and the cases, what has been nursing care aspect also has been trained by that. So by that, the role transformation, they got a confident enough to work in that. This is regarding the role transformation. And this is the training which we have given for a clinical staff as well as the non-clinical staff regarding the equipment aspect. Because of the role transformation, they have to know about the equipments as well as this is by the anesthetist, like we gave, like because by assisting a staff nurses for the intubation during the COVID time, the contact time should be very less. So in order to avoid that, one anesthetist and one nurse will be there in speedy way, like a faster way, they have to assist it in a second in order to avoid the contact time. So we had a mock drills which has been with the dummies in the setup on the job training itself we have given. Next question, as you have said about the challenging environment. Challenging environment is also a bigger challenges which we have faced, because already working in a specialized area, going to another specialized area is very difficult for the nurses to adopt themselves. So we deployed the staff who knows about their ward along with the new staffs from the other wards. Prior orientation has been given by the in charges of the ward itself, and train the trainers. So as we have the auditorium training also, so train the trainers also helps a lot, like known person has been trained. They are training another 5 more persons to know awareness about the COVID. Separate block is created for the admission for the COVID, that is Vijay Health Center has been for the COVID patient, and non-COVID patient we receive in Vijay Hospital. See, adaptation to a new pandemic situation with the PPE itself as a changing environment for them. So we have managed in doing that, and difference in each specialty. The SOPs which has been changed, the consultant changes, because COVID is all type of a specialty, patients will be coming and admitted there, and different types of staffs from a different specialty, they'll be taking care of that. The SOPs has been given awareness to them in caring of the patient. This is about the challenging environment which we have done. About the third question which you have said, Merlin, that is training need analysis. So the training need analysis for the COVID as well as non-COVID is a difficult task. Like it's an extensive training we have to give for the COVID staffs, perform on donning and doffing, written demonstration. All staff who has to go and work in the COVID ward has to perform the donning and doffing in front of us, written demonstration in a setup in an auditorium, and we have been taken a video, like, and then if there is anything correction has to be done, we have done it. If they need a retraining, we have done it. Updating the guidelines and protocol for a COVID through training session by displaying, it's a very difficult task. So because of the national and state guidelines has been changing day to day, so we have to update them in carrying the patient. So this has been done by a training session, displaying in the notice board through WhatsApp. So the social media has been helpful for us to meet this needs during this pandemic situation. We prepared an in-house videos, like donning certain topics which we have done as donning and doffing of PP, nasopharyngeal swab collection, blood collection, how to go about with the disinfectant, computer system training, because this is a newer way which we have to do it in a computer based training. Airway management, so aerosol generating procedure, how to precautionarily maintain ourselves while assisting a patient, as also has been video has been prepared and we have sent it, shared to the staffs who has been working there. Do's and don'ts. So do's and don'ts of PPEs, donning and doffing, handling of a case sheets, so cleaning and disinfection. These are all the topics which we have dealt with the COVID patient and non-COVID patient. It's all PP policy, SOPs of a non-COVID, standard precautions, because COVID lab, which we have we have a positive case and we have all full PPs, right? So we'll be safe enough in doing all the things. But in a non-COVID, it is very difficult, like non-COVID, it is very difficult. We don't know when the patient will be negative. Maybe after 1 week, the patient can become a positive. So for that, we have to follow a standard precautions. We are done it. And then biomedical waste management, cleaning and disinfection, the infection prevention control has to be done. So keeping up to date, daily changing. Once again, I have a little, can you able to hear? Can you able to hear? Sorry.
Yes, we are able to
yeah. We are not.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Sure.
Completely audible.
It's audible. Yeah. So this is about the training need analysis, which we have done for the COVID as well as the non-COVID management. These are certain trainings which we have done a mock drill about the shifting of the patient for all other workers, which they have been done for the shifting, that is for the boys and MNAs, like that. And for the secondary prevention, which with the hood, and as we said, for the intubation assisting, before COVID, it will be 5 or 6 persons will be assisting the procedure, but not in the COVID, like, because it is an aerosol generating procedure, only one anesthetist and one nurse has to be there. How fast they have to meet the needs of the anesthetist during the airway management has to be trained for the doctors as well as the nurses who have been working in the COVID area. These are the snaps which we have done. System-based training, like because it should be a paperless work, and because in order to prevent the infection, so we have to make a system-based work, and all about the trainings which has been done. I just displayed. This is the one, like all employees, I think, which patients has to be safe, as well as the staffs has to be safe. For that, every staff, it's mandatory for the staffs to do a donning and doffing before going into a COVID ward. So the fourth one is team building. Team building, it is very important to make a team building, because like if one person is doing a mistake, the others will also get the infection, right? If 10 persons are there, only 2 are following the protocol, the other 8 are not following it, it affects the team members. So we built a team for the COVID as well as the non-COVID. In the COVID facilities, we have 3 phases, like training phase. In that, we gave extensive training of 2 to 3 weeks of a training. We have separated the team like maybe 12 or 13 members according to the flow of the patient. Accordingly, the doctors will be there, the nurses will be there, the housekeeping persons will be there. So it will be a different set of a training for a different category of people. So that is a training session which we have made it. And competency phase, after they attend the training program, we had made a skill assessment, which if they lack in certain gap has been found it out, like we'll have a retraining for them. At last, this we are planning to have a controlled phase as a COVID champions, because these 4 or 3 months of staffs who have been working in the COVID ward, so we have to recognize them. We thought like we have to recognize them. We will recognize as a COVID champions, and they will be supervising the staffs who has been new staffs which has been trained and they have been in the COVID wards. For the non-COVID ward, in a phased manner, we are opening a non-COVID wards, like they are discussing with an infrastructure, social distancing, what they have to follow, assessing the manpower, whether we can take only 10 cases like that with the manpower. Accordingly, they take a cases and providing an adequate resources. These are all the aspects which they consider, and we are doing a non-COVID training. Training the staff before opening an area in all aspects of infection control prevention aspect is main important things. But some of the staffs who has been working in COVID area for so long time, who are willing to work in a non-COVID area, we transfer them and we give a separate training for them for the non-COVID, and then we post them. By that, in the floor itself, they monitor, which will be monitored by the ICNs during the rounds. If they found any lacuna in that, they'll bring up to the nurse educator and we'll be having a retraining for them. This is about the team building trainings which we have been doing it for these long days.
Ms. Lakshmi, could you please explain how long will you take for each phase, like training phase and the other two phases? How long it will take for each phase?
Yeah, it depends upon the session, how many persons are there. Maybe if 10 staffs are there for each session, like which we divide. So for per team, at least 2 weeks, 1 week of a training will be there. 2 to 3 days of competency evaluation will be there. If
so
there
you
is
have a separate module for each phases, like
yeah,
for an extensive training, you have a set of
extensive.
module.
We have a module for that period of time, and then there will be a competency test for according to the numbers. If it is 10, it depends upon the, we are 3 educators, like we have a skill station according to the numbers which we have. So this is how we go. On the control phase is like in the on the job itself, like already which the staff who has been working there will be recognized, and we give them as a supervisor jobs. Like they will just look after them, the newcomers, which they are doing it properly or not. Accordingly, they will let us know and we'll be retraining them. This is the phase which we have done. Can I move on?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. So measures to ensure the safety. It's the last question which you have been asked. It's the fear, as the other speakers have been, mostly the fear of the thing, like most of the staffs was saying no to doing a COVID ward. Then we gave a motivation to them. We started a self-risk assessment forms because the safety which starts from home. We thought like the safety starts from home. So here during the pandemic situation, they think due to fear, if they take leave, maybe their leave will be considered as LOP or not. Maybe they would have been having a sickness feeling also. So they thought from our HR department and an quality department, we all discussed and we have created a self-risk assessment forms because safety from home. If they have a symptom, they have to inform to the HR as well as ICN. We have a different numbers for them, because the HR to deploy a staff, because one staff is not coming for duty, they have to arrange a staff for them. So accordingly, HR has to be informed and ICN has to be informed. The ICN will be doing a risk assessment according to the symptoms which they have, whether the staff is in a high risk, low risk, or a moderately risk. According to that, they will consult a doctor and we will make them to have a, if they are very high risk, we will give them a leave and monitor, and we'll have a contact with them and say when to come for duty. So because in order to prevent the spread of infection. Safety at work. Safety at work, as all we are doing it is the social distancing, minimum PPEs for a non-COVID patient and maximum total PPEs for a COVID carrying staffs. And adequate PPEs has to be there, because adequate PPEs should be there. Without the PPEs, we have trained them. with any defect in the PPE, they should not enter into the COVID ward. That issues has to be managed, and we are making it. Donning and doffing of PPE training, it is ineffective. Without this, nothing can be done. So it is very important. Refreshment and accommodation. So safety comes from the refreshment which they give also. So refreshment we are giving according to them, and accommodation, as we said, a COVID staffs for 7 days of duty and 5 days of quarantine leave, which we are accommodating in the hostel facilities which has been available. We are looking after with the warden and the with a team of members from the nursing superintendent, assistant nursing superintendent, with a quality. We decide, we go to them, we speak with them, we motivate them. If there is any issues, like we are sorting out what has to be done for them for the maximum thing. So we have a motto of protect, proud to protect. So proud to protect. With the safety of us, we have to care for the patient. So we thought our motto, this has been spread throughout the across the Vijaya group of hospital as proud to protect. So for psychological this thing also, like we thought with the social media, we are connecting with the people, the staffs who have been working in the COVID, and making them comfort that they are not alone during the quarantine period, and we communicate with them. We just share the motivational videos, which they have to be confident enough, and they are not alone. So we give them a comfort for them. This is how we manage and do.
Yeah, I think all the other things the previous speakers also have told about how to take care of mental health. So thank you, Ms. Lakshmi, for explaining in detail about each and every aspect of how to train people. And you gave lots of new concepts of different phases, how to train them, and in how to train them in their specific area. So thank you for your time, and you are doing a very good job. So thank you, Ms. Lakshmi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Next, we'll move on to the last speaker, Ms. Amal Raj. He's a nurse educator at Fortis Malar Hospital. So actually, out of all these things, he has to play a very important role, because this topic is on the planning in upcoming days based on pandemic experience. So till now, we were battling with whatever we had. All the three speakers have beautifully spoken how they were able to swim in a beautiful or big ocean without knowing swimming at all. So somehow we have reached somewhere, and Amal has to explain to us with a proper thing, because we have gone through nearly 5 months of pandemic situation, and henceforth all the training program should be in a different phase, and how we have to take it over. So Amal, can you please explain about how important planning is in this particular thing? Because till now it was, I feel it was very haphazard. Whatever came to our mind, we were doing things. So Amal has to explain the importance of and need for planning the training program in this pandemic situation. What are the ways to upskill the training program? And please share with us few guidelines of this new training environment. And also, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Any new concept which you're going to bring in is going to have some advantages as well as disadvantages. So how to tackle those disadvantages? And at last, I would expect you to share some online websites where we can learn things. Over to you, Mr. Amal.
Yes, ma'am. Very good evening, everyone. So first of all, I would like to thank Mercy, Pooja, and our team, Polymed. So beautifully brought down the topic on nursing education, where many of the people have been not concentrating. So far we have discussed where we are. Now I'm going to talk about where we supposed to go and from such situation. Okay, so I want to start with a beautiful quote given by Benjamin Franklin. He usually says that if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So planning is very, very important. Unless you are not planning properly, then you are obviously planning to fail. So this was said by Mami Omar, Chief of Education, UNESCO New Delhi. He says like this: these unpredicted times have put enormous pressures on healthcare workers in delivering timely and efficient treatment to patients suffering from COVID-19. Therefore, it is crucial to support them with useful skills and training to adapt to those challenging circumstances and respond effectively. Yes, of course, we all been putting in such stress and problems, and we were been swimming, as ma'am said, we are swimming in the ocean. So now, what is we need to plan from here? So before planning, the assessment is very, very important. Why this, the crucial and a cordial level of planning is very important. So I just want to share a few of the data, because in 2000, we usually say it's an information technology, IT technology, but now the trend is changed. It's completely data technology. So DT. So with the DT, India has about 1.7 per 1,000 nurses population, 1,000 population, which is like one half of lesser, like 43% lesser than the WHO, which is recommendation. So the recommendation is 2.5 nurses per 1,000 population. So overall, if you take overall nursing personnel, which include all the registered nurses and all the healthcare workers like nursing aides and midwives. So India has 3.07 million nursing personnel. Currently we have, which was said by, shared by Rajya Sabha in March 3rd, 2020. So with the crippling shortage of nurses, despite we are being the highest produced trained nurses in the world, but still we are facing a large number of nurses shortage. Hence, this is very, very important to plan accordingly. So at this crucial juncture, we have to step up our efforts to provide the most optimum safeguard to our patients during the COVID pandemic. So it puts more pressures on the senior nurses and nursing leaders to manage. So careful planning and management is very important. So I just want to share the wellness model. We all be aware that the wellness is very, very important. So as health goes, the health definition goes, health is complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the free from business. Here, the wellness have 7 dimensions, which actually have a particular dimension called academic. So what does actually mean? So when you guys, like, wellness is an active process of becoming aware of and making choices towards a healthy and fulfilling life. Wellness is more than being free from illness. It is a dynamic process and change and growth. This definition is given by the National Wellness Institute. So why does academic, that is an intellectual part, comes in highlighting? Because when you are being unaware, you are become more panic. So when you become aware, then you gain confidence. So this is what exactly happening during the COVID. When the pandemic exposure happened in India, so we are getting very fear, because we are not aware what is the things we need to handle, how to manage, and what are the things we are going to suffer. Now we are becoming aware because of the training. So providing an efficient training to the people, we can able to bring down more confidence. From the fear, we can able to make them confident. So also bringing awareness can also improve their level of wellness. This is what this wellness model is talking about. So what are the ways I can able to do the training? So we can able to upskill people through the 4 modules, like classroom instruction. The traditional method we usually following. Now what are the special way of classroom preparation we need to give for the students, so that we can balance and we can able to manage this COVID crisis. And online instructions is, of course, the Zoom platform, MS Team, Microsoft Teams, and Google Meet. These are few softwares which is giving the online platforms to deliver the contents. And written materials, which is particularly about sharing the document, like Redbook. They are sharing the documents online to every nurses, so that they can just read wherever they are from. And on the job mentoring, which is already shared, which is a very good type of training. We can provide the hands-on scaling to the fellow nurses, and we can equip them, and we can correct at the bedside. We can also able to give them a better way of education at the bedside. So moving forward, what are the guidelines to maintain this upcoming training? So the first thing is to limit. So limit the entry of participations. So when you are providing a classroom teaching, make sure that the participants should not be more than 10 to 15 members. So limit the maximum entries to be at 15. Also the MSD, like everyone likes MSD now. So it's not MS Dhoni, it's maintain social distance. Keep always the 6 feet social distancing, which is the transmission of risk is very low. So always maintain 6 feet of social distancing. And in all the times during the classes, not only during the class times, but also during the refreshment times. So when during the break hours, everyone will be they want to share their fellowship with their friends. So they will be mingling with the friends. So during that time also make sure that they will be standing a particular social distancing, and avoid greeting without handshake and body touch. So follow the traditional method of saying namaste, to keeping both the hands together and say and welcome and greet. So next one is avoid sharing of foods and articles. So usually our kids usually will not share to the share with other friends. So நம்ம usually சொல்லுவோம் like அம்மா சொல்லி கொடுக்கல sharing, but now we are going to teach like avoid sharing foods and articles. So no sharing of foods, no sharing of tea, coffees, and no sharing of even pens. Anything, any articles should be shared from one person to another person. So make sure no sharing. So no sharing zone should be implemented. So wear a well-fitted mask covering both nose and mouth. Many a time you will be seeing that many is feeling very discomfort when you are wearing a mask. So many nurses and many of the healthcare workers will be pulling down their mask just down to their nose. So make sure that they will be keeping their mask and make them to at the maximum level of benefit. The benefits should be achieved. So next, use assigned chair throughout the program. So when you are training during the induction program or any of the training program, make sure they are using the same chair. They should not like mix excuse that they should not exchange the chairs in between their friends. So ask them to stay on the same chair, and also ask them to have their food or coffees or anything, any refreshment should be taken care of the same chairs. So that we can avoid such cross infections and minimize accessories like jewels, watches, and mobile phones like to the particular unit, so that it will be more safer. And also ask them to use hand sanitizer at the frequent intervals whenever they are touching the surfaces, using the whiteboard markers or anything they will be dealing with. So ask them to put sanitizer at the frequent intervals. So whenever the training sessions happening, we usually like fond of moving around. So here there is no policy of wandering. So you do not unnecessarily wander around, stick on their particular room. And this is very, very important. The final one, like report immediately in case of feeling unwell. Even if any of the trainees or delegates attending the session, in their family members, if anybody have been affected or fallen sick, that should be immediately report to the particular authority, and they should be going for all the process, like all the check-ins. So guidelines for upskilling, like how can we able to balance the previous practice with the current practices. So go with the paper. If previously we'll be using paper handouts for role plays and other instructions, now take forward and ask them to display over the screen and ask them to follow the same. And written assessments. So what are the written assessment will be dealt by the papers. Now we can ask them to go through the MS Teams, which is very, very easy, but they need some certain level of supervision by the trainers. And feedback forms obviously like through MS Teams, and participant signature on attendance sheets. So what can we do? He's supposed to put signature over that. So the trainers have to be take attendance in case on behalf of the delegates, so that the HOD can be sign off. Like moving to the advantages and challenges. So I'm sorry, I'm moving very fast because the time is up. I don't want you to again being tense and bored. So I'm just going forward. If you have any doubts, put on your questions in the question and answer session, so that I can able to answer pretty much clear. So advantages. Now coming to advantages. So what is the advantages in case of upskilling? So when you are upskilling your nurses, you can be a better preparedness of healthcare services. Yes, that is what happened now. We have a better resource of manpower. Now we can able to ensure the skilled workforce to meet the future healthcare challenges. Now we have been enforced them to balance, and we have been make them skilled by the training sessions, so that we can able to meet the future, whatever challenges will be coming, we can able to balance. So if you are training them so that the veteran ICU, that the senior nurses, those who are really suffering because with the mixed group, like skill mix of the both juniors and the senior nurses, the senior nurses have been getting burden to overwhelm of the work. So now when you are training the junior nurses with the skill training basis, they can able to be like balancing and developing and boosting team spirit. When developing, and this training will be really helping and building the relationship between the juniors and seniors. They need to be getting adapted that there's nobody to take care of the patients. We are here to take care of the patients. So we need to be able to collaborate. We need to be able to stick with other policies, and whatever the best maximum care we can able to give, we can use, so that team building and was developed for better. And it also helps the organization to to reduce the cost of commuting. So now to recruit a new staff and making them adapt to the new policies and the settings and ask them to, and when we are assigning them into the particular unit, then it takes time. Again, it is very cost. So when you are upskilling, it is a very good cost-effective method. We can able to empower our own nurses and those who are very, very familiar with the settings. So what are the challenges now? As like the advantage, there is a challenges. So it was beautifully explained by the Shali, like whenever the training, we need to roam around the complete building. So they need that many of the nurses have been poor in the technical knowledge, like they are not know how to deal with these new softwares and the devices. So it is a very big challenge for them to organizing and putting them the training, and they make them to make sure that they are being joining that particular session. Again, the critical care requires special skills required with hands-on training and additional study. When you are assigning a ward nurses or a specialty unit nurses in the critical care areas, they require at least 2 to 3 years of experience so that they can able to handle a better way. So putting them in a major struggles and giving them a short period of time of training and giving them, it's sometimes creating a much pressure. So non-ICU nurses will be certainly face a clinical complexity. So new equipments, new environment, or new way of communications, a lot of charting was, which is really a big complexity for the non-ICU nurses. Again, in COVID patients, they will be like usually rapidly decline in their clinical condition, which is sometimes making us panic because there is a restricted people to be taking care of the patient, one anesthetist, one nurse. So certain times we don't have an extra manpower to deal with. So we need to deal with the particular, stick on to the particular manpower to handle the situation. Again, it's required skill. Again, such rapid changes can require a patient to be quickly transferred to the ICUs. Again, if you're recruiting any new employees, or if you have any nurses to be coming from other units, they don't know the regular routines of the transfer protocols and where to communicate, how to communicate. So what are the things to be done at the particular time? So these are the big challenges we are facing. So I just want to share a few of the online courses, which is really beautifully described by the particular team. So the WHO have been brought down a beautiful module particularly for COVID-19. All these modules are particularly for COVID-19. So in that, I would recommend the UNESCO New Delhi Association with Generation India Foundation. And from TNAE, they have beautifully brought on a module for COVID nurses. So this is an essential module for COVID nurses. It was built by the Columbia Asia Matron Colonel Binu Sharma ma'am and their team, which was a beautiful session. I was already taken the course. I would strongly recommend all the nurses, the participants, those who are seeing here. So you can able to register yourself and you can get a free register course. Also, this course is also being delivered by John Hopkins School of Nursing and their collaborative, and Skill India, Stanford, and Microbe Notes. So these are few recognized institutions for their standards. So you can able to take a free COVID-19 online certified courses. So to summarize everything, nurses and paramedics workers all around the world are undertaking upskill training programs. They are already started and the willingness of nurses to upskill and retrain during the coronavirus crisis is a reflection of their professionalism, compassion, and dedication to health and well-being of their parents and the community. So now my question is, what is your plan? So am I open to new ideas, concepts, and perspectives? Do I search out new information on my own? Am I open to new learning skills? My dear friends, if you are being answered yes for these questions, you are already ready. You are ready to face this situation. If you are not ready, or if your answer is no, then you need to train yourself and you need to make yourself more confident to face this struggle. So with this, I just conclude. I would thank Mercy and Pooja once again for giving me this nice opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Amal. That was very crisp and very informative presentation. Hope all the participants would have got some inputs from all the presentations which we have given. So if participants are having any questions, you can just type in the chat box so that we can ask to any panelist. So we'll give you another 2 or 3 minutes so that you can type your questions. And there were a few questions like, is there an e-certificate? Yes, of course, you are having an e-certificate. And and this is, as before we have told, this will be shared in Facebook and other social media, so you can even go back to the slides and you can take some inputs if you have missed a few sessions which was earlier. So any questions from the participants? And if you have any feedback, kindly give the feedback. The mail ID will be typed in the chat box, so you can get the mail ID, and if you can give any inputs for the best of this webinar. So at this juncture, I would like to thank all the speakers, and it was a very informative talk. So thanks each one of us, like Jivita, Shirley, and Ms. Lakshmi and Mr. Amal. Thank you for sharing your inputs, and I have to thank all your institution for sharing their valuable inputs with all of us, so that we can carry out the best practices and we can be benefited. Ultimately, it's the nursing group who is going to get benefited, and thank you for all the inputs. So to conclude with, upskilling is very, very important, and with this challenging situation, nursing is in the limelight where everybody are looking forward. So we have to take an extra care in uplifting our skills, and there are so many courses which is available online. Please go take care of it and just do all the online courses and get updated. So all the best for all the educators and all the participants. Till now, I've not got any questions, so I hope all the participants would have got enough information. If so, please feel free to just send a message to the mail ID which was posted in the chat box. Over to you, Ms. Mercy.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you very much, everyone. The session will be really, really informative. I'm sure that everyone would have benefited from this session. And I'm thanking Molly ma'am for that wonderful lead. And then Jivita ma'am, thank you for your wonderful session. And Basmat ma'am, thank you very much. And then Lakshmi ma'am, thank you very much for your sharing your experience and all, ma'am. And Amarraj brother, thank you very much for sharing a different link to learn in upcoming sessions. And then thank you very much, everyone. And I would like to thank Dr. Arjit Kua, our head medical affairs, and for his encouragement and guidance. And thank you, Pooja, for support. And thank you, our clinical team and sales team and PMP team for encouraging us. And really very thank you for every participant. And thank you very much. And at last, and it's once again, I'm thanking you, everyone. Thank you.